member primarily responsible for electricity as well as gas, and I'll be chairing today's meeting. With me, I am joined by the members of the Energy Regulator. The members that are going to deliberate on these matters today, I have got the chairperson of the Energy Regulator, Mr. Thembani Pukula. I'll request Mr. Pukula to convey his greetings. Mr. Pukula.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, everyone. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Next, I would like to introduce the CEO of NERSA, Advocate Nomalanga Sithole, who is the member of this committee, as well as the various committees of the Energy Regulator. Advocate Sithole.
Good morning, Chairperson and members, and everyone who has joined us for this meeting this morning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I would like to now reintroduce the member of the Energy Regulator and the chairperson of the finance of the Energy Regulator and the member of this subcommittee, Ms. Thembeka Semane.
Morning, Madam Maseti, and morning to ER Chairperson, Mr. Pukula, Advocate Sithole, and everyone on the call, as well as all the members of the public. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let me now introduce another member of this subcommittee, Mr. Muzuvukile Mkhize, who is the member primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines and the member of other committees, including the electricity subcommittee. Mr. Mkhize.
Greetings to you, Chairperson, fellow members of ELS, management and staff of NERSA, as well as members of the public that are following us through the various live streaming platforms. Thank you.
Thank you very much. These are all the members of the Energy Regulator that are going to be taking decisions today. With that, I would like then the members to consider the proposed agenda. Members, are you happy to approve the proposed agenda? It is shown there as the updated version of the agenda under number 3. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of the updated agenda. Thank you, Madam Semane. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Mr. Pukula. I also support. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you very much, members. Members, on issues of declaration of interest, the forms have been uploaded. If you can remember to fill in the forms, submit them to the secretariat of this subcommittee. If there is any verbal declaration to be made by exception, this is the time to indicate the verbal declaration, members, on the issues, on the matters that are going to be discussed. By show of hands, there is no hand and there is no verbal declaration. With that, I am now proceeding to the regulatory reports, starting on number 5, the ESCOM Distributions Service Quality Incentive Scheme designed for 2025-2026 financial year on the first year of the MYPD6. Please introduce and take the committee through the salient points and aspects of this submission.
Chair, good morning, and good morning to the members of the Energy Regulator, as well as my colleagues, my NERSA colleagues who are on the call. And greetings as well to the members of the public who are connected. Chair, I will be taking you through this item, and my colleague, Mr. William Mkhize, and his team will assist in dealing with the questions that may arise from this submission. Chair, without taking a lot of time, I would like to indicate that the purpose of this submission is to request the Electricity Subcommittee to recommend to the Energy Regulator the approval of the performance set point targets of ESCOM distribution on its service quality incentive results for 2025-2026 financial year. Chair, the service quality incentive scheme is designed to incentivize improved performance through additional revenue, also impose penalties for deterioration, and also maintain revenue levels if current performance is sustained. The performance targets, Chair, are established at the beginning of each financial year, and these targets serve as a benchmark to determine whether rewards will be granted or penalties imposed based on Eskom distribution performance. And the three measures that are used in this case, Chair, includes the System Average Interruption Duration Index, which is commonly known as SAIDI, and the System Average Interruption Frequency Index, which is commonly known as SAIFI, and the High Voltage Supply Loss Index, commonly known as HSLI. These indicators carry a respective weighting of 50, 40, and 10, as outlined in paragraph 4.4 on 4.5 on page 3 of 19 of this submission, Chair. I would also want to refer to page 3 and 4 of this same submission, where the set points of these three indicators are actually tabulated. These set points are further illustrated in figure 2, 3, and 4, which graphically present the performance threshold of Eskom distribution. Chair, these three measures, SAIDI, SAIFI, and HSLI, will be used to monitor the technical performance of Eskom distribution during the first year of the MYPD6 control period. And the annual performance results will inform the determination of revenue requirements for each financial year, in line with the regulatory clearing accounts mechanism. Chair, the performance targets set points run concurrently with the MYPD6 control period, and these targets are revised at the end of each control period in order to reflect the current state of the utilities network. And the use of the SQI for Eskom distribution is intended to promote service quality improvements, to ensure reasonable efforts are made to enhance performance, also to prevent cost cutting at the expense of supply quality, and establish a framework where good service is rewarded and poor service is penalized. Chair, it is on that note that we would like to therefore request the Electricity Subcommittee to recommend to the Energy Regulator to approve this Eskom distribution service quality index scheme designed for the financial year 2025-26, as shown on table 5. This is on page 6 of 19, Chair. Chair, allow me to leave it here, and we would take questions from the members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Matebula. Members, the submission is before you. Any questions, clarity questions? Any issues of enhancement? Mr. Mkhize?
Thank you, Chairperson. And thanks, Mr. Matebula, for the presentation. Excuse me. Bulk of my comments and kind of questions will also cover the next submission. When I look at on page 3, you've got the period there indicated daily, monthly, or yearly. Although you kind of intimate what the date is, you don't specify it as such in your table, like where you've got SAIDI and SAIFI. You just leave it like that. You don't put the specific measure. So if you may just please include that so that it is without any form of ambiguity. And then another thing, we also put the unit. And also, I noted that there are these figures. If you go to page 5, and there under page 5, you can take the figures, which is figures 3 to 5, in the annexure of this cover submission. If you can put them in the submission as well, that graphical representation of the points, right? And then I'm looking at page 14 of 19. I wonder if there isn't some benchmark that you could also maybe reference or kind of compare with in some way, instead of the very company's history, just using the very company's history that you seek to incentivize to improve the quality, you would use that maybe to the SAIDI, SAIFI, as well as the HSLI. That for me would assist. Yeah, that is just all from my side. As I said, this also applies to the next submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Advocate Sithole.
Thank you, and thanks to the presenter. Mine, it's just a point of clarity. I just wanted to check from the team if there is any linkage and the quality of supply standard. I think it's NRS 048. If they can clarify that linkage, if there is any for me. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Mr. Mkhize, is that the legacy hand?
The issue of load shedding. I'd just like to know where and how that is being incentivized in some way. I remember when we talked, I think in terms of EPP, whether it's number 12 or something, when we're looking at the methodology, and we talked about this, and I wonder how far we are in terms of being able to accommodate that in a more holistic manner, so such that we disincentivize this issue, getting into all these various stages of load shedding. I'm talking from recollection, Chairperson. You just pardon me if I've missed certain things. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. I think we did clarify that one to say that it will be dealt with on the generation side, so that you also don't punish twice if there are penalties in terms of performance. So it's on the generation aspect, not necessarily on the wires at distribution. So the performance of the generation plants, they have their own sort of criteria, and to look at the relevance of that. And if then they fail, and that one will be dealt with there. But Mr. Matebula and your team, may you please respond to the questions? I just wanted to remind my colleague on that aspect.
Yeah, Chair, I think the points that were mentioned by Mr. Mkhize, I think are mostly for enhancements, and we take note of that. I think I will ask Mr. Mkhize Jr. to talk to the correlation between this scheme versus the NRS. I see Mr. Hopper already has a hand. Maybe he wants to respond specifically to that. And I think the issue of load shedding, Chair, as you indicated, I think maybe we can talk a bit more on it when we talk to the generation scheme as well. Thanks. Mr. Hopper.
Thanks, Mr. Matebula. Good morning, Chair, and the colleagues and everyone on the platform. On the linkage to NRS 047, the NRS 047 is mainly based on reporting on them. So there is some linkage, but then on the NRS, it's about mainly reporting to the energy regulator. But then on this one, it's about after reporting, then now we base the performance and enhance it with some posing of penalties and rewards. So there is a step to it on this one. And okay, the other point was on what Mr. Mkiza asked about the benchmark. The benchmark can be done to be for comparison purposes, but on our approved framework, what we approved is that the SQIs will be done based on the entity's past 10-year performance, as well as including the standard deviation of it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any other input? Mr. Mkize, are you happy with the responses?
I'm covered with the responses as I was just trying to combine the two. But I just, would like the team to say, look at the aspect of benchmarking, because to use historical performance could have some fault, some discrepancy. I understand that there is nothing that is perfect, but if you are looking at incentivizing, one should also look beyond the entity itself. Thank you. Covered.
Thank you, Thank you, Mr. Mkize. I think that will be something that the team must look at. The suggestion from Mr. Mkize, if you can kindly look into that suggestion and take that into consideration. Please take note of it as well as part of the input from the members. So when the matter is going to the energy regulator. I believe, I can't remember if we have already read out the recommendations on paragraph 14, that this committee is requested to recommend to the energy regulator. Let me go, Mr. Bukula. Or is that for approval?
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you, Chair.
Chair,
I just wanted to indicate that when it comes to doing the benchmarking for the items that we are putting forth, like your SAIFI, there's an organization in, I think ESCOM is a member of, and I think at NASA we probably have a person who's still a member of SIGRE. So it's that organization that can provide these benchmarks. But what I just wanted us to be cautious about is that if you look at SAIDI, for instance, and you take entities with the kind of size of megawatts that we're producing, and the place where we are supplying, you find that Germany, for instance, their side is a few seconds when ours is 32 hours or something like that. So in that benchmarking, it probably may just be something that just shows what the others are, but you have to look at entities that have a similar customer profile like us, India, and the others. They tend not to use that because it exposes this. But I think using what is in SIGRE as really the guides would be good enough, and showing what your first world or developed countries, which have a completely different and an interconnected network, would also be something that we can just. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bukula, for that input. And I am hoping that the team, even when you deal with the generation and the others, if you can always remember to deal with that aspect of benchmarking and what information is provided by SIGRE. If you can kindly do that, so that is not the once-off thing or input that you are going to consider only for now. With that, members, and the input and as well as the clarity that was provided, the committee is requested to recommend to the energy regulator to approve the ESCOM distributions SQI scheme design. It is shown on table 5 below for the financial year 2025-2026, and that will only be for the first year of the MYPD6, and that is on Annex A. By show of hands, members, if you are in support of this decision. Thank you, Mr. Mkize. Thank you, Mr. Bukula. Thank you, Madam Semane. I also support. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, members, for that approval. We are on item number 6 of the agenda, and this time we are dealing with the service quality incentive for ESCOM generation for financial year 2025-2026. If you can please take us through this submission.
Chair, thank you very much. Yeah, this submission, Chair, I will still be supported by the same team as indicated on the previous submission. And Chair, the purpose of this submission is to again request the Electricity Subcommittee to recommend to the Energy Regulator the approval of the performance set point targets. And this, in this case, is for Eskom generation on its service quality incentive results for 2025-2026 financial year. Chair, during the MIPD period, MIPD 5 period, the Energy Regulator approved the Eskom generation scheme on 29 August 2024 with a one-year trial period commencing in the first year of MYPD 6. And this trial phase, Chair, is intended to assess the effectiveness of the scheme and will not necessarily involve any incentive or penalties. And Chair, previously during the MYPD 3 period, incentive framework for transmission and distribution were approved and implemented in MYPD 4, with a trial period taking place during the MYPD 3. Chair, the technical performance monitoring of the Eskom generation focuses solely on parameters within its direct control. And these exclude any factor related to Eskom distribution, as well as the National Transmission Company of South Africa. And the scheme, Chair, is designed to incentivize improved performance through additional revenue and also impose penalties for deterioration and maintain revenue levels if current performance is sustained. And the performance targets are established at the beginning of each financial year, Chair, and these targets serve as benchmark to determine whether rewards will be granted or penalties imposed based on the performance of Eskom generation. Chair, the two measures which has been placed on the scheme at the moment, Chair, includes the unplanned capability loss factor, which is commonly known as UCLF, and the energy availability factor, which is commonly known as EAF. And these indicators carry a respective weighting of 80% as well as 20%. This is outlined in paragraph 4.7 on page 3 of 17 of this submission, Chair. We also want to refer members to paragraph 4.8 and 4.9 of this submission, where the set points of the UCLF and EAF are tabulated. And these set points, Chair, are further illustrated in figure 2 and 3, respectively, with which graphically present the performance threshold for Eskom generation. Chair, these two measures, UCLF and EAF, will be used to monitor the technical performance of Eskom generation during the first year of the MYPD 6 control period. And the annual performance results will inform the determination of revenue requirements for each financial year in line with the regulatory clearing accounts mechanism. Chair, the performance target set points runs concurrently with the MYPD control period, and these targets are revised at the end of each control period in order to reflect the current state of the utility network. The scheme, Chair, for the Eskom generation is designed to promote continuous improvement in service quality. It encourages the use of reasonable efforts to enhance performance, ensure cost reduction, do not compromise supply quality, and establishes a system where good service is rewarded and poor service, and in this case of generation, is poor performance, is penalized. Chair, it is on that note that we request the Electricity Subcommittee to recommend to the Energy Regulator to note the Eskom generation scheme designed for the financial year 2025-26 as shown on table 4, page 6 of 17. Chair, we also noting by the energy regulator due to the fact that this will serve as a trial period to measure the effectiveness of this proposed scheme. And Chair, maybe before I conclude, based on the comment that was made around load shedding, we are of the view, Chair, that the improved energy availability factor or decreased unplanned capability loss factor automatically, Chair, addresses the issue of load shedding. Chair, maybe let me leave it here and we can take comments and my team will assist in responding to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mathebula. Members, any specific questions that will affect the quality of the decision that is sought? By show of hands, members. Mr. Mkhize.
Thanks, Chairperson. I note this kind of an incentive. All I'm asking is for the team to maybe look deeper to check if there's no double counting or double benefit or double jeopardy. Because sometimes if you've got a system, just the decrease in generation of itself, it's got a particular impact. And if you've got also different plans, in the various plans, you looking at them collectively would be very different when you're looking at them. Will also have a difference when you're looking at them as units, as individual plans, so that you appreciate that the individual high performance will then accumulate to a high performance. But sometimes if you're looking at an aggregated figure, you hide out certain things that are happening at an individual level, just to have to think about such and make some balance around that. With the issue of load shedding, I do not necessarily buy into the issue of it being fully compensated by way of this. Looking at the negative impact it has on the reliability of the whole system itself as the whole ESI. So I would appreciate if there can be further work that is done in parallel, even if some people at the some staff member is allocated the work of really looking at the issue of how to deal with this whole issue of load shedding by way of disincentivizing it. Noting that there's a lot of the management and the rest of the unit actually has got a lot of work already in their hands, just to find ways of not waiting until maybe there's a crunch time to really deal with this issue of load shedding more conclusively. I'll leave it at that, Chairperson. Thanks for the submission.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Pugula.
Thank you. Chair, I hold the view that says that when you want to deal with load shedding, these measures that we have selected, your UCLF, and maybe let me just talk to the UCLF. It is the right point where you deal with load shedding, which would be brought about by the unavailability of the rest of the plant. So for me, I think this is the most effective way of dealing with it without looking at other measures that, when you enforce this one, you are going to ensure that the EAF improves and a whole host of other things and the planning. What I kind of have an issue with is if we look at the graph, I think it's figure 2 on page 14 of 17. If we look at that graph, so what we have done in the MYPD 6, we in fact, if you look at the table, the correct one, not the one with the errors, is that we have increased the amount of coal that they can use so that they can improve both the the EAF and the UCLF. But when you look at this graph, if you look at the dead band, we are saying that I mean, when you get to 13.2% UCLF, it's not a good state of affairs. In practice, probably it is what it was, or even higher than that when we're getting load shedding. And yes, rightfully, we are not rewarding them. But to say that we will allow the system to deteriorate to a point of 29.2% UCLF without penalizing, I think this is where then Mr. Mkhize becomes right, that we then are not we are not pushing, incentivizing them. So that dead band, in my view, is too large. I don't think we should have a dead band that large. Has informed these numbers, but a dead band of between 13 and 29, and if we ever get to 29.2, then we will be dealing with load shedding. To say that we would not be penalizing them, then would not be the right thing. And taking it to 9% when we will when we will reward them, I think that there's a part of that. I mean, the full reward. There's a part of that that's reasonable. I probably would want to change the slope, and for those who are still stuck with the numbers of 97.3, I think what should be rewarded is something that's less than 10%. So for me, I would want to change the dead band and not say that we must go to 30% or 29% before we penalize them. We must start penalizing them long before we get to 29%, because when we are there, we would be in load shedding, and I'm not sure if the entity would survive when we have UCLF of 29%. Thank you, Chair. That's my initial input. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Mr. Matebula, if you can also come in here and just remember this last point that Mr. Pukula made. It will be in line with the performance targets that we set in the MYPD6 to say that the where they're supposed to keep the unplanned outages, so it becomes very important.
Chair,
so that alignment is key. Thanks.
Chair, you are right, and I think.
Just hold on.
Sorry,
Chair.
Just hold on. May I just add? Sorry, Mr. Matebula. Chair, my system was frozen. That's why I couldn't go to the EAF. If you look at the EAF as well, when we have been having load shedding, we have been operating close to the dropping power part of the dead band at 54, 57, and whatever. So in what Mr. Mkhize is saying, where I agree with him, is that 57, where we would say that it's the dead band, it's fine when they're operating at an EAF of 57. 57 is what has been giving us load shedding, so we can't say that we wouldn't be penalizing them there. So we may have to then stick to what we have in the MYPD as MYPD6 as those incentives that we have said, that we don't expect their EAF to drop lower than whatever value, and have that. I know that these are more your ESCOM proposed figures, but to go to an EAF of 57, that's where we were, and we were having load shedding. So we can't say that it's dead band. We will not be penalizing them. So I think that's the only other addition I have, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matebula. I take those into consideration as input, and what is key there, as I indicated, and Mr. Pukula supports, is that the alignment with the set targets, performance targets that are in the MYPD6 for both EAF as well as the UCLF. Please, those are the two key ones, and they must just be, so that we are consistent in the way that we look at performance and the way that we will compensate for good performance and penalize. So take that as a given and deal with the other matters. Thank you.
Yeah, Chair, we will certainly do that. I think the consideration of previous performance stats it's what probably pushed us out in this case. But I agree with that we need to realign this with the MYPD6 targets, Chair. There was a comment on the double counting that we need to really check on. I needed to indicate, Chair, maybe before the team comes in to support, that there are other obviously measures that we excluded in that talks to performance. And to give an example, we're talking about there is a measure of PCLF, which is also part of a performance measure, which measures the amount of maintenance that has been done. So, Chair, we wanted to focus on outputs in this case, and hence our focus was narrowed to UCLF and EAF. So EAF in itself, it can also be affected by the amount of maintenance that is done. If you do less maintenance, you can improve your EAF. If you do more maintenance, you can reduce your EAF. So hence, we are sure that we will not double count by taking specifically these two measures of EAF and UCLF. Chair, if there is anything that Mr. Hopper wants to respond to, I would ask that he does that. And maybe, Chair, after Mr. Hopper, you can also guide us in terms of the corrections that we are going to make to align to the MYPD6, if it will require us to bring the matter back here, or we can then recommend it to ER. Thanks.
Is there anything else, Mr. Hooper, that has not been touched on? Please come in before we get to the decision.
No, I think everything has been touched on, Chair. But then, since this is a trial period, we take all the comments made by the members, as well as to make it narrow, especially on the dead band. Then we'll actually look at it and also this effectiveness going forward. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize.
Yeah, just thank you, Chairperson. Just to also add, Chairperson, that another instrument that we are really looking to adopt is to do compliance audits at generation level, particularly ESCOM coal plant generation compliance audits. So that's another instrument, Chairperson, just to for Mr. Mkhize's question there in terms of what else is being done with regards to dealing with issues of load shedding. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Mr. Pukula?
Thank you, Chair. May I think that because Mr. Matebula also asked what is going to be recommended. I just wanted to weigh in on that, because what we would expect to be recommended to the energy regulator is something that would show that we are not setting targets that will allow load shedding. I mean, EAF of 57, we know that it has allowed load shedding, and the UCLF of 29 will definitely allow for load shedding, and we can't set targets that would do that. But I just wanted also just a feel from. I'm selecting Charles because I know that when I was at ESCOM and he was also at ESCOM, we had worked on these numbers. Just his view on your kind of point where we will be showing that we are not promoting load shedding. Sort of, excuse me, UCLF, I think EAF, we know that it has to be above 70 for us to stay out of it. Charles, do you have a view or an input that you can make so that when it comes to the ER, we know that we have kind of exhausted the matter? Thank you. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. And I think also the latest improvements and the results of ESCOM, they actually prove the point, and they've already showed us that when you are at 60 and a little bit up at 60, that's when now they started some improvements and even use less OCGT. Charles, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. From my point of view, I would say that we should not go below 65. If they go below 65 in terms of the EAF, we are at risk. And I support exactly what Mr. Bakula is saying. When I looked at this, and we have set targets in the MYPD 6 decision. So, you know, we that should also be the beginning point, if you like, of the slope for the rewards. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. I just want to canvass before we get to the decision part. I'll come to Madam Semane, the issue of 65%, so that we don't go below that, because even with this licensee, in terms of its own generation recovery plan, it does not talk about something that is around in the 50s or just above the 50s. So I don't think that the energy regulator must give that kind of signal in terms of performance. It will be completely wrong, and we don't want to take the country to that situation of load shedding. And we've already shown by evidence that once you operate above 60, that is when then you see the difference and also the relief in terms of load shedding. So we can't, as a regulator, set in terms of the act, we have to set the proper standards of performance. So we must never set a standard of performance that is just below and will put the country in a worse situation. Madam Semane.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I do support, Chair, the sentiments that we can never allow a situation where we go below the MYPD6 set targets. I think if you can put these targets in a different industry, let's say, for instance, in radio and television, you wouldn't expect your television to be only available 60% of the time. You expect 100%. So for me, I think the base can be the set targets on the MYPD 6, but I would say the expected performance for any entity is to make the services available 100% of the time. I think that's the best regulatory signal to be sent. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Members, just so that everybody is on board, in terms of usually, I mean, there are those plants that are quite new and like, in fact, certain units where we have been shown by ESCOM at what level they are performing. Some of them at 80%, some of them they were above 80%. However, in our own decision at the in the MYPD, we have given them the performance target for the EAF at 75%, but it can even be above that. So it is fine to then have that as a ceiling. But now, when we go to the upper band, we have the 73.7%. We must just check if that one is we are satisfied with. The one that we are mostly concerned about is the lower dead band, and the input that has been suggested by the technical people from the division is that they are requesting that it be set at 65%. As opposed to 57.6%. I'm on table 3, members, with all of the input that has been made, so that we now try to gravitate towards the decision. So I am putting this and just want to check if the members can agree. Mr. Pukula, if you may please come in and just also assist and see if the way that I summarized it to try and get to the decision, whether this will be based on your expertise, will be something that could work for us. Mr. Pukula?
Thank you, Chair. I think we have made this decision in the MYPD, and all we are asking the colleagues is to go and get those numbers that we set the MYPD to be the numbers that we use. I think we we came to those 60 something numbers. So let's use those numbers. We can't have SQIs that we're setting that don't talk to what we had set in the MYPD. And I think the point by Mr. Mann is taken, because I think we do say going forward that these would increase, but we're allowing them the ramp up or the runway to get to the levels that we set in the MYPD. So I support you, Chairperson. I just think that the numbers must just be the ones that we have in the MYPD, and they do come close to the 60 somethings. Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Pugula. Mr. Mkhize?
Yeah, I'm covered by Mr. Pugula in the sense that if we just keep it to say that they must realign with the numbers in the MYPD6, noting also the issues of benchmarking that I mentioned earlier, which will talk to some extent to what Madam Seman is saying. Those are just the decision is considering the inputs made, and then there will be the table that is also provided to the submission going to ER. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mkhize. Members, we are now on the decision. All of the analysis is still proper, but however, it is the issue of the targets. As we indicated, the important thing is that these things will have an effect on the figures on the MYPD6 and through the RCAs. And it is also important for the regulator to make sure that once we set targets during the revenue requirement applications, which is the opportunity for any regulator around the world, once the licensee comes before you, then you set those targets. So we've already set the targets. Now, when we come to say, how do we deal with each of the business units, we cannot deviate from what we have already set. So now when we come to the recommendation, the committee is requested to recommend to the energy regulator that the ESCOM's SQI scheme design on table 4 below. This table 4 will now change. The table 4 must fully align with the targets that have been set for that full ceiling there. So it must be up. And then you do the calculations accordingly, and then that is for the EAF, and then when it translates then to the set target in the MYPD, then we also go to the UCLF. We also do the same thing that we did in the MYPD, and that's what you will do on these tables, taking this matter to the energy regulator. It will not be something that is different from the decision that we've already taken. With that, members, I would like then to see by a show of hands that this table will be fully aligned with the targets that we have already set in our decision in the MYPD6 before we take the final decision as the ER. By show of hands, members, and the benchmark aspect. Thank you, Madam Semane. Thank you, Mr. Pugula. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. I also support it. Thank you, members, for that input. We are on item number 7 of the agenda. That is the transmission audit submission for the second quarter of 2025-2026. And this is a consolidated report. Please take us through this report.
Chair, thank you. And again, Mr. Mkhize and Junior and team will assist with responding to questions that may arise. Chair, the submission is for the transmission consolidated report on the audits conducted on the NTCSA main transmission substations. This includes new audits as well as re-audits for the second quarter of 2025-2026 financial year. And the purpose, Chair, is to request the Electricity Subcommittee to note the audit submission for the first quarter of 25-26 and the consolidated report on the new audits and re-audit conducted for the National Transmission Company of South Africa for their transmission substations. Chair, this matter falls within we believe that this matter falls within the mandate of the Electricity Subcommittee as per clause 3.2 of the delegation matrix. And the audit were conducted in line with the approved audit plan dated 8 April 2025. The transmission team conducted the compliance audit on 10 main transmission substations during the first quarter of 2025-26, and the information is indicated on table 1 of the consolidated report found on page 11 of 46. The report encompasses the recently audited and re-audited substation that were previously subjected to audits for the purpose of compliance re-audits. The 2 substations which were previously audited are Pembroke and Neptune substation. And overall, most substations were found to be in good condition with available documentation and in compliance with the requirements outlined in its license condition. And Chair, overall, there were no serious or no issues of non-compliance in all substations that were audited, except few observations that were mentioned, such as inadequate yard stones, substation yard lighting, and leaking oil transformers in few substations. And after the audit, few recommendations were made and listed in the individual report that were shared with the National Transmission Company of South Africa, addressing the identified defects. And the reports also recommend that the licensee try to prevent copper theft by installing motion detectors. Chair, we therefore would like to recommend, as indicated on page 5 of 46, we request the Electricity Subcommittee to note the second quarter consolidated report of National Transmission Company as attached on Annexure A. Chair, let me leave it here for now, and the team is here to assist if there are questions that we need to respond to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mathebula. Let me take questions from the members of the subcommittee. Any questions, members? By show of hands. It seems, Mr. Mathebula, it is pretty clear. Oh, Mr. Pukula.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I tried to read the audit methodology, but there was something that I had seen which I had known to be a concern in Eskom substation, like the earthing, but in all of them, the earthing was, but I think it said earthing equipment, so it was 5, which is very good. I just wanted to understand that in the methodology, what do we check with the earthing? Do they give us their last results of what their earth maths are saying, or we're just checking that the earthing equipment, because the earthing would really be underground, so you can't really check it even if you walk around that substation. So I just wanted clarity on that, like what do we check, and are we comfortable that the earthing systems in these transmission power substations are at the level 5 that we're saying they're at. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Pukula. Mr. Mkhize.
Sorry for the delay, Chairperson, to unmute. From my side, I would just like to know, having come now from the incentive, is there a way of maybe when we look at the legal provisions, and see if there isn't any way to hit them, to hit on the pocket? I'm not using hitting on the pocket in a negative sense, maybe, if some people may perceive it like that, but maybe for lack of a better word, to say if there is a way of disincentivizing taking corrective action that can actually result in more effective and efficient operation, having taken all of these measures in place. I know that Section 29 tends to look at municipalities, but just to see if there is any framework that can be developed so that you quickly are able to implement an incentive or this incentive method, kind of a carrot and stick approach to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Matebula and the team.
Chair, thanks. Maybe let me ask Mr. Hopper to respond to the two questions on the ETHMETS or earthing results, as well as a framework on maintenance. Mr. Hopper.
Thank you, Mr. Matebula. To answer Mr. Bukula, sorry. The ETHMETS, we do check their results, and they have to do about two tests on an annual basis. So we do check the previous 3 years results, and if there's any ohms which were measured incorrectly or which show that the ETHMET was not properly done, so we do check the recent one and compare it with the previous one to check if there is any improvements done to correct what could have gone wrong in the previous one. As for Mr. Mkiza, I'm not sure. Maybe that's something that we can check with the legal department if they are here, if there can be any framework that we can develop. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Let me check with Mr. Pukula first, since he spoke about 5. Now you're mentioning 2. Mr. Pukula?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, where are these results? Because if you look at the DGA, the dissolved gas analysis, you give a full spiel there, starting from page 40 or 46. You show the hydrogen and the other things. So where are the results of the ETHMETS then? If you're saying you're checking them, because you could. I mean, I don't understand why you would give